So today we're talking about the ROG Zephyrus. This right here is the RTX 3060 series. Pretty decent laptop. It's got a lot of new hardware. This is the GU603 version. I've had this laptop, I think, for about 45 days. And basically, you know, I'm not super happy with it. I think it's all right. I mean, but yeah, it's kind of crazy. Like the fact that we're seeing these content creator gaming laptops. I like the concept of it. I'm not so sure it worked out as good as I thought it would, and it's got 16 gigabytes of RAM, 1 terabyte drive, and yeah, it has the i9 processor. So first thing right off the bat with this machine, when you open it, it digs into the ground. You see, because it has these little feet that basically dig into the ground. And eventually these feet will wear away and you'll just basically end up with a laptop that's scraping against the ground every time you try to open it, which kind of really sucks. I do like the aesthetics that this machine has. As you can see, there's like this very interesting kind of colorful patterns. And this is just like the reflection from the light source. So essentially it just kind of looks nice. I think it's kind of a nice aesthetic touch. I think overall the machine does look pretty cool, right? They did a cool job with that. So you can see it kind of has like kind of an interesting design for its ventilation system. And we have some LEDs on the side here, which is kind of cool. And then for the rear, again, they did kind of a pretty good job with the rear. I do like that. You got the hard plastic on the back. And then you have these feet, right, which are pretty good. They lift the machine up. And then on the back, on the back of the actual screen, this right here is kind of like a cold metal. So it feels pretty good. It's like a nice cold feel to the touch, which is kind of nice. The texture, it gets really fingerprinty, which I'm not a huge fan of that. I mean, after the first week, this is basically what it looked like. You can see that there's like all this kind of like discoloration, which is kind of annoying. Thunderbolt and USB ports also failed. I think the driver failed to initialize. But like I said, it all came back eventually. I was gonna do a factory reset, but I didn't really end up needing to do that, which was nice. You have this little control panel here, and then you have your Asus ROG button, and then the fan speed button, which is very buggy. Sometimes you press it, and it basically just doesn't do anything. Like you'll press it, and it just stops working sometimes, which is kind of a huge pain. And on top of that, the other annoying thing is you have to push the function key while you're pushing the fan speed, which can be kind of troublesome sometimes. Not a huge fan of that. The keyboard does feel really good. Like it does type like exceptionally. That's great. Trackpad's all right. My trackpad actually did stop working eventually, which it just stopped working, which made me really kind of sad. It stopped working for about a whole week and then it eventually came back to life. I think that had something to do with the driver. So it does work, but while gaming, it just, I don't know, something about the performance. I do get like lag in some of my older games. Like I'm playing a game called Nitro Selection 2. It does lag randomly sometimes. And I think it's related to the thermal throttling issue of the machine. Performance-wise, the performance isn't bad. The 3060 on here does tend to lag, which I'm a little bit annoyed about that. The cooling doesn't really do a very good job. The i9 is great and the 3060 is great, but it just doesn't cool the machine properly. I mean, you have these extremely tiny vents and they're trying so hard to make the machine thin, but I don't think they really have to do that. You do have those, 4 exhaust vents. You got 2 on the sides, and then you have 2 on the back over here. But it kind of like ends up shooting towards the screen and then kind of makes the screen hot. So yeah, so I'm not a super huge fan of that. I also forgot to mention that this has the P3 wide gamut color screen. So with this screen, it's a 16-inch screen, which is actually really, really unique. And the colors on here are amazing. They're better than Adobe's sRGB. You have way more colors. And so if you're a content creator, this machine isn't bad. The screen does bend back all the way, so you could mount this on a wall. Like it would probably work. It's funny, it even bends back more than 180 degrees. Not sure why we would ever need that, but it does it. Port-wise, I kind of wish they did a little bit better. They included a micro SD card, which micro SD is all right. I mean, I don't really use that. I'm more of an SD card kind of person. But there's only 2 USB-A ports. And they really ought to just give you more USB ports, more USB-A ports, because I need about 3 USB-As. You do get a Thunderbolt, and you also do get a USB-C. an auxiliary jack, you get your Ethernet, your HDMI, and your power plug. So yeah, it feels pretty dang smooth. Even 1280 by 800 still doesn't get you all the frames, but it gets you close. Nice thing is you can basically get pretty high frame rates just by utilizing anti-aliasing. The anti-aliasing is gonna give you, the crispness of, 1080p, but without having to pay the price for it. And the frames are pretty decent. But the more you game, the more you're gonna realize that, your machine is gonna get loud. And this machine does get pretty loud. You can already hear it.
And it's so strong.
Such an awesome car. Look at this. Classic. Yeah, good old country. Oh, boats. But for 1850 USD, I did get this laptop from Best Buy. I think it's kind of expensive for 1850. I mean, for 1850, I could have gotten Alienware Area 51M. I could have gotten plenty of machines that probably wouldn't have experienced any problems at all. Keep in mind, this is a machine during COVID, so that probably explains kind of why the machine isn't the most reliable. So I think I kind of totally get why it's having problems. We've seen a decline in all services and all products seem to be not as good. Even my favorite chips, my Cheetos, they don't taste as good. Everything just seems kind of worse. So it's kind of to be expected. But I do have brands that I rely on, brands that I like. And I don't know, I didn't really have a smooth experience with this Asus ROG. Anyway, guys, if you have any questions about this machine or you want me to run some tests on it, let me know. I would say that this machine is pretty good for pretty much everybody. All right, the 3060, even though it thermal throttles, even though it lags during gaming, overall, it's still a pretty good machine. I still wouldn't really change much about it, except for the quality control issues is kind of my biggest gripe, and how the screen cuts into the kind of like the ground as you open it. I've never understood why they have that. These little rubberized feet. I mean, these feet are not gonna last. Like this little rubberized thing, like it's just gonna rip right off. I'm serious. It's really just kind of a very odd design. I have no idea why they would ever design it like this. Overall, the look is really great. I'll give them that. The look is great. It looks very robotic. It has very nice looking exhaust vents and all that stuff. All that stuff about it is great. But for the same, 1850, I really could have just gotten, a MacBook, or I could have gotten pretty much any other brand. But that's it. That's pretty much my review. It's a decent machine. Would I get it again? Probably not. All right, well, if you guys have questions, let me know in the comment section below, and I'd love to chat to you guys about it. Peace.